Okay, so we're going to review how to create the 3D shapes. What you're seeing on the screen now are my samples. A sphere, all you create is a half a circle, a path for a half a circle. For the cone, you create, it's basically half a triangle, but we arc the bottom. For the donut shape or a tire shape, we actually create a full circle and revolve that. Cylinder, we create a full circle and we extrude that. So I'm going to go through maybe not all of these, but a number of these to demonstrate and remind you how we're creating these shapes. To begin the create, we're going to start a new file, Command N if you're on a Mac, Control N if you're on your laptop, or of course you could have just gone to File, click, and start a new file. Again, we're going to work with 11 by 17, so you have a nice large workspace. So we'll do 17 wide, 11 high, we're in inches, and our color mode, as always, will be RGB. Click, and we have our new file. I'm just going to zoom in for ease of use right now. Now, always we need our toolbar. You need your layers. These are always things you need. You also have to use your appearance window or panel, and that will make sense in a moment, but the reason quickly is to edit any 3D shape, to edit the 3D settings, you have to go in and edit through appearance, as opposed to going back to effect and adding another 3D, and you'll understand that in a moment. So to start, you can use any drawing tools. As usual, I like my pen tool. Click, click, let's do that cone real quick. If I come straight across, I would be getting a triangle, but I want a cone. I'm going to drop down just slightly, click and drag to arc the bottom. I have half the shape drawn, that's all I need, effect, 3D, and I'm going to revolve it so I can create a cone. When the 3D window opens, always click preview so you can see how your adjusting of settings actually is affecting your shape. So I've got a 3D cone. That 3D exists only because there is a light source that is helping create the illusion that there is depth and substance in the shape. And that lighting is created down here. So we'll get to that in a moment. If we start at the top, position. This block here allows you to adjust the position. If you click and drag, it allows you to rotate it. You can also rotate from side to side. If you're good with degrees and angles, you can put in the settings for x-axis, y-axis. That's up to you. I like to click and drag. So, next, we have a 360 degree revolved shape. So as I'm dragging and seeing the wireframe, I can see that I have a full 360 degree circle in there. Now, do I have to have that 360 all the time? No. You could click and adjust the slider, and it will open up my cone on one side. Now I can see in it. I could, instead of using the slider, I could have just used the dial. I can rotate it left or rotate it right. Either way. Always be patient because your computer needs to have a little time to render any changes you make. I will go back to full 360 for the demonstration. Okay, now I have my points, anchor points for my shape, which you can see highlighted here. Those anchor points are directly connected to the revolved shape. So the point at the top is what's creating this point at the top of the cone. You can do something called offsetting, which means instead of 0 points, which means there's no space between where the point is connecting of the revolved shape, I could adjust it, either type a number in or I can click and drag. Watch what happens. That's pretty extreme. But I've opened my cone up. It has been offset. Now, You can still see my shape, which is drawn out to the right, and it is set to revolve to the left. So it revolves around and creates that cone. Watch what happens when I simply change that setting to the right. I will get an entirely different shape. Okay, so this shape revolved to the right creates this shape, and revolve to the left goes back to my cone. And I did offset it, but I think I'll put it back. Click and drag, or again, you could just type a number in. Okay, now, let me show you one more thing. If I left it open, offset, to open up the center where the points connected, you can notice that the inside color of our cone reflects the fill color that is set in the toolbar. So the fill color is what we're seeing inside, and the stroke color of black is what we're seeing outside, but also shading color down here in lighting has been defaulted to black. Let's see what happens if we select none. Okay, so our cone is really a grayscale, which would be the combination of the light gray and the black. Let's see what happens if we custom set. If you set to custom, you can pick any color you want for your shading. Okay, so you can see where the shade color is affecting, you can see where the fill color affects, and you can see where the stroke color affects. Some shapes you create, the fill color will make no difference. You don't even need to set a fill color. But of course, some shapes do rely on it. Now, meanwhile, let's click out of this window. And let's go to the appearance window, which was the first thing on your notes, how to edit a 3D shape. Well, to edit a 3D shape, you have to go through the appearance window or panel. And if you'll notice, it shows you which effect in 3D you've used. The shape that's selected is a shape that was revolved. You see it here. Sometimes the revolve will be hidden under the fill or under the stroke, so you'd have to open these up to see. But all you do if you want to edit one of the settings or all of the settings is you go to appearance and click on the 3D effect. If you go back to effect to 3D and select another 3D instance for this shape, what happens is your computer slows down. Sometimes it even can freeze because it cannot handle all the rendering for 3D that you're applying to the shape. So anytime you want to change a setting to a created 3D shape, go through the appearance window. It opens with the settings you added to it, and you can now, of course, set preview and continue. So the next thing for us to look at, I'm going to just turn off the purple. I'm not enjoying that view. Okay, so this section down here at the bottom, which we didn't discuss, is the surface of your shape. The lighting creates that surface look. So the first thing to know is your light source in this window. Right now there is one light source, which is this dot, and if you notice, I'm moving it around. So depending on where the dot is will depend on which direction the light is hitting your object that you're creating. And you can click and drag it, as you see me doing, to create different looks. I kind of like it down here at the bottom. Now, you can also add, not so much. You can add additional lighting. So all you have to do is click here, and you get another instance of lighting. Now, the more lighting you add, the more possibility of flattening out your shape. And of course, if we're trying to create 3D shapes, we don't want them flat. So if you're going to use multiple light source, you might try to keep them closer together so that they don't flatten out the overall shape. Now you've got adjustments for the lighting, of course, intensity. You have ambient lighting, the overall lighting, highlight intensity, so the specific highlight can be adjusted. The size of the highlight can be adjusted, smaller, larger. And then there's what's called blend steps. Let me show you blend steps. I'm going to first just get rid of one light source. Okay. And blend steps are how many steps does the computer generate to make the transitions of colors here to give it that 3D or depth. So I'm going to click out of this window for a moment and zoom in so that you can actually see the shape. Okay, and if you're looking closely, you can see there's almost columns or sections of colors very clearly delineated from the lightest, and then slowly you can see these lines of color moving or adjusting towards the darkness of this gray, or on this side from the whitest or brightest to the darkness of this gray. It's helping to sculpt or create that 3D illusion. And we're going to go back into Revolve now and preview again. Okay. Now, you can adjust. Right now, there's 25 steps. You can adjust it. The more steps you have, the smoother the transition of color will look. For what we're doing in class, really, 25 is fine. However, certainly explore more. You can see how nice and smooth that transition is now. And we covered shading color, and that's really all that you need at this point. I'm going to click OK, exit out, and then I'll zoom out on the screen. Let's create a couple more shapes. So let's make our donut. We'll start with a circle. It's maybe actually more of an oval. Circle would be a little more balanced. Okay. And let's go to Effect, 3D. We'll revolve this one as well. We're going to preview it. And again, let's be patient. Your computer now has a lot going on. So I see the side view. Let's rotate it down. And darn it, my donut does not seem to have a hole in the middle. But if you've remembered what we've put in your notes so far, offset, we can open up the point at which the revolve is connected. So let's come down here. Let's offset it just enough to open up that donut. And because this is a solid shape we're revolving, well, that's a little interesting, a little missing icing there. Let's rotate that up just a bit. My computer is definitely slowing down, having a little rendering problem. Okay, because it's a solid shape that was revolved, whether it is revolving to the left or to the right is not going to make a difference. It's the same all the way around, although the color is applied differently. Let's go back to the left edge. Again, the lighting source works the same. You can have as many sources as you want. You can adjust the settings. You can adjust the shade color. Let's see if we had no shade. And it always defaults to black. So the black is really making a difference in how solid and substantial that donut is. So you do want a color, whether it's black or a different color is going to be up to you. Red does not make for an appetizing looking donut. And actually, I think I'm just going to stick with black, for example. Okay. So we've revolved a solid shape. We've revolved a partial shape. Why don't we extrude something now? So when you extrude, just like with revolving, you can use partial shapes or open paths, or you can use a closed shape, closed path, either one. I'm just going to stick with an ellipse for demonstration purposes, and I'm going to draw out a circle. Let's go back to Effect, but this time we'll extrude and bevel. The window looks the same as from Revolve. The only difference in the extrude and bevel window from the Revolve window is this midsection, because we're going to, obviously, instead of Revolve, want to extrude. Extrude, we are going to pull out a shape. We're going to elongate it. So the depth, let's put preview on. If you can notice, the default setting was 50 points, so there's a certain amount of depth your shape will automatically get. However, you have a slider or a field to enter numbers. You can make that as long as I guess you would want it, or as short. Now again, revolving just like anything else, or adjusting its angle and rotating just like anything else. So I'm going to put that standing upright. Maybe I need a column in my, or table leg in my illustration. So we've adjusted the depth. Actually, let's adjust it down for a moment so we can look through it. Can we look through it? We should be able to look right through there. Let's just change to wireframe for a moment. Right here in the center, I should be able to see the light of day right through the middle. But I can't, because at the moment it is solid. Let's look at the cap. We didn't actually look at cap under revolve. The cap allows you to make the center look filled or to open it up. And if you'll notice, when it is capped, it is using the fill color. So I don't need to have a column that's filled, which would mean I really don't even need to have a fill color. Or perhaps I do want to have it filled. It's up to you. Depends on what you're going to be doing with it. So that would be cap. Let's make this just slightly longer. Bevel. Bevel adds a surface, like a texture, to the outside of your cylinder or whatever extruded shape you've done. Right now you see the bevel is a straight flat line, but there's lots of options here in the drop down menu. You will have the, I'm not crazy about that one. Let's do one with multiple surfaces. It's easier to see. Okay, so we're going to see there's three. Right now, the bevel is set to move into the object, but look what happens when I set it to pop out of it. What a nice effect, texture, gives you an interesting shape. Who knows what you're going to do with it, but not only does it allow you to apply it to the surface so it pulls out of your extruded shape, it also allows you to adjust the height, meaning how far out it would be extruded or how far in it would sink. Okay. Again, you can always adjust your shading color. You can always make changes to your stroke or your fill color. So let's just pop out of here. All the other settings, the lighting, the surface, the rotating, that's all the same. The only difference between the two are these settings in the center. Let's click OK. And we're out. And just so you can see, you could adjust stroke in the appearance, you could adjust fill in the appearance, or in your color window, or of course down here in your toolbar. So if we were to change your fill color, you would see it changes the inside look. If we were to turn it off, we would simply have the effect of the light source, so it looks as though you can start to look down into it. If we wanted to change the outside color, we could adjust the stroke. I don't know, maybe we want brown. Interesting. Whatever color you choose, you're supposed to explore. So now you have the difference between the extrude and the rotate. You have 12 shapes to create, 6 revolved and 6 extruded. And we'll just come back to the original, which you can see in eChalk as well. I've given you many samples to work from. These are the paths created. Some are revolved, some are extruded, some have fill color, some don't, some just have stroke color. Good luck.